The actual ones is very interesting. So one of the things I want to bring up is as I start talking, you'll see my eyes will look down. I'll maybe look at my hands, or I'll be using my hands. It's part of how I think. But one of the side things where that is that because of how I think, combining that with the African American expectations, it might come across as like shifty, right? Because my eyes might be looking back and forth. But in reality, I'm actually deeply thinking about what the problem is. But people, all they'll see is someone who's like fidgety or twisting or things of that nature. It really felt like people looked down on me. Like having my ideas constantly questioned, having everything challenged, like saying these things don't make sense. And it's one of those things where this goes back to how I think, where they didn't give me a chance to finish a thought. It was always, no, if we can't get this, even like in a classroom discussion, if we can't get the full A, B in 30, 45 seconds, we're going to cut you off, or we're going to assume that you're going A, B, instead of like taking a roundabout way and getting there. And the funny thing is that whenever I try to do A, B, they always start asking questions about the other things. But when I try to preface, like say, hey, I've accounted for this and bring it in, they're always like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, the hard part there is that when they don't know, in some aspects it's better because then I know they don't know, and so I know they're not attributing it to that. There was a guest lecturer or anyone not in the program, they all loved my ideas. They all loved what I was doing and what I was sharing and the perspective that I was bringing. But it was the people in the program, because they're used to me like being sitting there and just basically being more passive, being more reserved. They treated me very differently, and so that's been just the extra things that I have to be consciously aware of just because of those interactions are huge. But then there's the issue, especially for African American males, of being the good one. And so it's tough because it's like, no, this isn't because I'm African American. I'm not having this issue because I'm African American. I'm not good enough for all these other things. It's because of this other thing. But if I tell them if I don't tell them, they'll attribute it to me being black, which means that it's going to be bad for all black people. But if I do attribute it to this other thing, then it's worse for me, because not only do I have these other things that I have to worry about, that's even if they even bother to consider it. I mean, or whether they completely understand it at all. I mean, it's just, oh, this is just another negative thing about you. But we're still going to do all this other stuff that we were doing anyway. And so it's a huge conflict, because it's basically everything you do wrong or any sort of shortcoming, because you are one of the few people that of that group that they are exposed to. It's basically you are setting the example, because that might be the first exposure. It might be higher education. This might be the first black person that they've interacted with at this level, or thought with this level, and then you being the one that's sort of a letdown, and it's like, oh, black people just can't cut it. And it's just like, I want to say, no, this has nothing to do with being a black person. This is because of this other shit. And even with all this, sorry, excuse my language, and even with all this other stuff, it's still there.